Oh,
We're Sheep Meadow, and we're excited to be here on improv.com. Thank you for joining us. That's Mimi over there,
greetings, friends.
and I'm Morgan over
I was
here.
going to say that. This is
Oh,
Mr. Morgan Phillips.
I get a full name.
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to do some improvisation for you. We're going to make it up here on the internet. Are we supposed to plug stuff before we start, or should we? What do you want
Well,
to do?
I think that there's a rich, full program of improv tonight. It looks like there are sets every half hour from 9 p.m. that are all live for the next 12 hours, and they're amazing and fun. I watched a little bit of this one and that one throughout the evening, and all I can say is there's a lot of fun to be had at improv.com tonight.
It's pretty much the place to be, virtually be. Yeah, the sets will be left up for a while, so you can watch them recorded if you don't catch them live. But then they disappear
Yes.
after an indeterminate amount of time. So if you're watching it live, that's the only real way I think to like fully experience it. You might get lucky if you watch the recorded ones, but you are right where you're supposed to be right now. I have here a fortune cookie, and we're going to get our suggestion tonight from the fortune cookie. So I'll do it on screen so it's clear there's no hanky-panky. It's a real fortune from a real fortune cookie. This is I'll show it to the camera after I read it to show that it's true, because this is a really dumb fortune. What's that in your eye? Oh, it's a sparkle. What's that in your eye? Oh,
Move it
it's
back a little so
yeah. You're not going to take my
I
word
can
for it.
read it. I can read it.
Okay.
I can read it.
What's that in your
Your
eye?
eye.
Oh, it's a
It's a
sparkle.
sparkle.
That's a stupid fortune, but a wonderful fortune.
Yeah. You are not going to be able to get around me this time with your flattering words. I know your game already. It's not going to work this time.
Well, I wasn't trying to trick you or anything. It's a nice dress. It's a beautiful dress.
Let me guess. Your report is not going to be ready on time for the annual meeting.
If I could get an extension, if we could push the work group back to later in the day, that would help me out. Yeah, but the dress comment had nothing to do with that. So, while we're on the subject, if we could actually push the meeting back from 3 to like 6, if that would be possible, get another few hours. That'd be great. Is there any possibility of that?
You know, I'm a little cynical. I'm cynical. I'm your assistant, and I have to say that you do not realize how difficult it is to book conference rooms, to get everyone to sign off on time. I already have an email thread that's 75 emails long just
Oh,
on this meeting. It's you flattery just isn't going to work anymore. I just
hey,
can't work
Beverly,
under these conditions.
you know that I hope I make it clear that I appreciate everything you do. And if I don't, I'm sorry. I do appreciate everything you do. Uh, you're very valuable to have. You're an asset. Uh, I feel like a dick saying this, but my needs come first. You're my assistant, and I need you to move the meeting back. And I appreciate all the hard work you do, and you're going to have to do additional hard work. Uh, and I don't
Okay.
really appreciate. I don't. While we're talking about it, I should be able. I mean, if you don't want me to ever compliment you, that's fine. I won't. I'll stop complimenting you. But to have my motives, impugned, uh, I'm not a bad person. I've got a lot on my plate. I'm okay. I'm sorry. I'm stressed. I'm stressed. The conference, and so I do need to move the meeting back.
Mr. Hamilton,
Anytime.
Mr. Hamilton, listen, unfortunately, you are not the CEO. I have to call in favors. I have to get on my knees to Penelope and to Frederick because the CEO and the chairman of the board, they're the important. I spend my days covering your ass and putting out fires.
Right, and that's your job.
It is my job because I work for you, and
Exactly, you work for me.
I
Your job.
hitched my wagon to a falling star.
Excuse me? You hitched your wagon to a falling star?
That's how I feel. That's honestly how I feel. I'm sorry. I know that's an awful thing to say.
Well, it's
I'm
not
sorry.
a very smart thing to say in a business environment. I don't perceive myself as a falling star, and I don't know that I want an assistant who perceives me that way. You got to think that you're on a winning team, or else why put in any effort?
We agree. We agree. I mean, I have to tell you, I know this is awkward, but I've been headhunted. I've been headhunted to work for the CEO of our biggest competitor. So I'd be at the top. And they're a good company.
Please do not say the name of our biggest competitor. You know I hate to have it said out loud.
That's why I didn't say it. I know.
I appreciate that. You know all my little eccentricities. That's one of the things that makes you an excellent assistant normally.
Well, I'm a better assistant than you are an executive, and it's galling.
That's okay. So this is the period in a relationship, as it were, where you just make it worse and worse until it comes to a head, and to make yourself feel better about moving on. So what's going on now? Because you're acting in a very unprofessional and insulting fashion.
I know. Sometimes I seem aggressive, but really I'd like to have maybe the other person make the move, and maybe I've been in therapy lately about that very thing, and maybe I'm just trying to get you to cut the cord because I'm still ambivalent about it.
Hey, Beverly, you've been a wonderful assistant, and if another company, whether it's our largest competitor or another company, could make you happier than we have made you happy here, then I say go for it. I totally understand. You don't need to hurt me to make me give you my blessing. And that is a very nice dress you're wearing. I don't care whether you think I'm trying to manipulate you. That's my opinion.
It's just hard to hear it, considering our history, honestly. I used to be so in love with you.
Well, I feel like we've pretty effectively moved past that little blip that happened. Do you still have some unresolved? I mean, I guess we might as well air it out now that you're going to be leaving.
Well, here's the thing. As long as we keep it strictly business, it's okay. But when you get personal, and I think complimenting my dress is kind of personal, then it just brings back the road not taken and all that sort of stuff. And I want to keep the past in the past. I really do.
Okay, but I got to tell you that if you go to another company, I'm going to actively pursue you romantically.
Listen, Gloria is a woman I respect tremendously.
We have not been happy for quite some time, and I think that you know that. You pay such close attention to my schedule. You must know that. You must have picked up on that. Little things I say. Okay.
I do pick up on it, and the thing is, I honestly pick up on the fact that it's all coming from you. She's still really invested in the marriage, and
That's because she is a team player. She knows that as long as the relationship is together, that we need to keep up the illusion to the outside world that we are a winning team, as it were, to the outside world. Like the things I'm saying to you right now, and I hope the things you're saying to me, you would never say them to other people, to the other assistants or anything. And I would never share any of the history we have with anybody. It's all about facades within facades, within illusions.
Of course, it's all about power. It's all about power, and knowledge is power, so certainly I wouldn't give that up to anybody. But as I say, you are not, you're not the one. You're not as
Not
much of
which
a
one? I
power
don't understand.
player. You're very self-indulgent, honestly. I mean, in your position, you
Okay,
could
hold on.
have
I'm
been the
sorry.
CEO. You could have been the CEO.
I'm sorry. I need to jump in here because I'm unclear whether this is you making things worse between us so that it's easier to sever the bond, or whether we have already transitioned into the post-professional relationship period where this is just a man and a woman talking to each other. So when you're telling me these things, where are you coming from?
Oh, we are totally still work colleagues. My work is very important to me.
Okay, well then this is very unprofessional of you. If this is within the sphere of our professional relationship, these things you're saying are not appropriate for an assistant to say to a boss. I'm sorry, I misunderstood at first. I thought that we had transitioned to a new transition period where you were on your way out and heading to perhaps our biggest competitor or some other company. But if that's not the case, if we're still within the sphere of boss and assistant, then you need to check yourself.
This all comes down to hierarchy, doesn't it? You don't want to hear something you need to hear from someone who's kind of lower, on a lower rung.
Absolutely, absolutely not.
I may be on a lower.
Anything.
I may be on a lower rung, but I know more than you do. I have more experience.
Okay, well you need to
than
hide
you do.
that. Part of your job as someone on a lower rung is to hide the fact, if it is a fact, that you know more than me, or that you in fact would be better at my job, for instance. I hear that sort of thing a lot. There's a lot of places throughout, up and down the ladder, where people would be better at the higher position, and swapping it would be perhaps better for efficiency or something of that nature. But that's not how a ladder works. The lower rungs, they run around and they put out fires. They CYA. They take care of their bosses. And that's just the way that it works. Now, if we're outside the ladder, if this is just you and me, a man and a woman, that's entirely different. But if we're on that ladder, I need you to censor yourself and hide any negative appraisals of me. That's just the way that it works. Beverly, that's the way that it works.
I guess this is something like a limbo period. We're still colleagues, and yet, I'm just going to say it. I'm going to Goldman Sachs.
I have asked you time and again not to say those words, not to say that name. You know what? You're fired. You're fired. Effective immediately. You're no longer an employee here. You're fired.
I'm not sure that you have the authority to fire me, to tell you the truth. I was hired by the CEO, and the reason I started working for you is because he was concerned about you and wanted me to help whip you into shape.
Don't tell me that. If
Listen, Morgan Stanley is actually a more familial environment. We're trying to help you here. I just can't anymore.
I should not know that sort of thing. I'm going to pretend that I didn't hear you say the real reason you were hired. And I'm going to maintain the understanding that you have been fired, because if you have not been fired, then what you just said is absolutely forbidden. So I'm going to try to keep some dignity here, and I'm going to pretend that you did not say that, and I have fired you. And now we are a man and a woman, and I would like it very much if you would join me for dinner later tonight. I'll get us a reservation, or if they give me a new assistant, I'll get the assistant.
Mr. Hamilton, here, have some coffee.
You don't have to get me coffee.
I brought it already. It's been sitting on my desk. It's hot. It's hot.
The firing?
Yes, this is preliminary to the firing. So
okay,
just
well then I'll take the
take
coffee. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
In retrospect.
And
I
I
appreciate
have
what you did before.
Let's just have some coffee and calm down a little.
That's great. Coffee together, like peers. What peers have.
Right, like peers. I'm totally into a flat hierarchy. I'm not a fan of the way corporate America is structured.
Well, it's good that you don't work here anymore then.
I'm a bit of an iconoclast, even though I'm a darned good executive assistant.
Well, let's not talk about work stuff. I love the fact that you're an iconoclast. As a man and a woman, there's nothing I find more attractive than somebody who stands out and speaks their mind and is not afraid to stand out from the pack. I really love that about you.
That really sounds genuine, and
oh, it is genuine.
I think you mean it. I do.
And I could never say that sort of thing as your boss. You know, there's prescribed behavior. But now that we are just a man and a woman having some coffee, there's all sorts of things I can say to you that I could never say before.
Don't say too much. I just want to keep a collegial relationship. I've become friends with Gloria over the past 2 years. I mean, the first 5 years I worked with you, she was just your wife. But in the past couple of years, as your relationship has deteriorated with her, I somehow became closer to her.
I think you might be mistaking things. Now, it's very important that an assistant put up a front of having a sort of superficial friendship with the spouse of their employer, just to keep things smooth and to have that sense of shared mission. But it's not an actual friendship. You don't confide in each other or spend time with each other.
She does confide in me. I, of course, do not confide in her, but she has been confiding in me.
She has?
Yes.
Well, what did she tell you?
The truth about your marriage.
What is it? What do you mean the truth about?
You're a bit of a dog. You are a scoundrel. You're a scoundrel. I maybe I'm a little conservative. As an iconoclast, I still have certain values about marriage and how people relate to each other with integrity. And you don't do that with her. I know that from my experience with you as well, from 6 years ago.
Well, that I feel like that was taken care of at the time, professionally, after the fact. What did Gloria? Was there something specific that Gloria was bringing up? It makes it sound like you're saying.
She walked into you at the country club, and she saw you with, Mrs. Hemsworth.
Saw what? Saw me what? Saw
you put your hand on her thigh.
She told you that she saw that?
Yes.
I feel like she would have said something to me if that had happened. If something had happened like that and then she'd seen it, I feel like she would have said something to me, and she didn't say anything, so I'm pretty sure. Well, I know that didn't happen.
She thinks you don't love her anymore.
Well, I don't love her anymore.
And you should. She's a wonderful woman.
Oh, that's not how love works, Beverly. Let me explain to you how love works. It's a serious. I don't. I may have bitten off more than I can chew. Love is not. It's not a logical decision. You just love somebody or don't, and I don't love her anymore. It doesn't matter if I should love her. It's not a point system.
I think I'm falling in love with her.
In what sense do you mean you're falling in love with her? Is this a love that would preclude the love that we have together, you and I?
We don't have a love together.
Well, I love you.
You've been manipulating me for a long time.
Right, because you are my assistant, and that's been our job description. But now we're out. See, that was a hierarchy. That was uh, that was one circle, and now we're in another. We're a sphere, and now we're in a removed sphere.
You're doing it again. Do you ever even listen to yourself? That what you're saying actually makes no sense.
I don't understand I was your employer before, and now I'm just a man having coffee with a woman.
But you've always been a man, and the way
No,
you
I
behave
have
is the
not
way
always
you
been a
behave.
man. I have not always been a man. I have been a boss. There's a difference between a boss and a man. I am a man now. I was a boss before. I'm still a boss in other circles, but in this circle here, I'm just a man.
You're a very self-deluded man.
I don't even know what you're referring to. I'm
I'm
very
in
honest
love
with
with
myself.
Gloria, and I did not expect this. Up until now, I never really had that kind of a feeling for a woman. She's just an amazing person, and I've fallen in love with her. I think she's going to leave you for me, and I'm going to leave you for Goldman Sachs.
Don't say that name, please. It's very upsetting for me. Please also do not marry my wife.
Well, it's preliminary to talk about marriage. Nobody's talking about marriage at
Well,
this
it would almost
point.
be more insulting if you were just living together in sin and just rubbing in my face. At least if it was marriage, it would have a sort of formal feeling to it, not a. I don't know. How am I going to get that meeting moved? What? Who do I?
Oh, I will do it.
No, you're
Like
not.
a
That's not your
helpless
job.
child. Well, I know you say you fired me, but I'm not
I
actually
did
fired.
fire you. I said you were fired, and I was a boss. I was not a man when I said that. I said it as a boss, and it would hurt me as a man if you tried to go back to the time when you were my employee and I was your boss, and I cannot, as a man, allow you to treat me like a boss right now because you've given up the privileges of treating me like a boss. I'm a man whether you like it or not. So I will figure out how to reschedule that meeting. I can do it without you, thank you very much. Just can't be that hard.
Good Lord. I'm feeling almost like you're a child and that I need to help
I'm
you
not a
take off
child.
your...
I'm a boss and I'm a man at different times depending on what sphere of what circle that I'm in. It's a series of charts.
A man who cannot push a meeting back 3 hours.
I can, and I will. I will push it back.
I'd
I'll
like
show
to
you.
see you do it. Show me now.
All right. Well, I'll go over to the computer and just open Outlook. It's done from in Outlook. Are you laughing at me as my employee or as a woman? And am I a man or what kind of laughing is that?
I'm sorry. I think I was laughing at you as a woman. It's
That's okay. That's appropriate.
there's more to it than that. You can't just change the time of the meeting. There are 28 other people in that meeting. They have it scheduled for 3 p.m.
Well, that's their assistant's problem. I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to change the time of the meeting.
It's going to be your problem if the assistants can't push that new time through. You're going to be in a room by yourself.
I don't care if I'm by myself as long as the calendar says the meeting is at 6 o'clock.
You don't really mean that.
Yes, I do. Absolutely.
You are tremendously deluded. I feel so bad for you. I should call Gloria and tell her that she has to stay with you. I have to stay with you. You have to unfire me. You cannot actually function by yourself for 5 minutes.
What are you suggesting? I'm
suggesting you are as helpless as a little baby. You're like a baby. 5 minutes ago you were like a small child, and now you're like an infant. You're regressing in front of my eyes.
Well, that's my right as a man.
Have a little cookie to go with the coffee. Here, have
Are
a
you
cookie.
giving me this cookie as my assistant, my former assistant, or as the woman stealing my wife from me? Because there's one of those that I can take the cookie, and two of those that I most certainly cannot take the cookie.
Just as a maternal figure in your life. Take the cookie.
I can't keep track of all these.
Take the cookie.
Okay, I'll take the.
Take it.
Thank you. Thank you. Could you place a call to Gloria, please?
Sure, Mr. Hamilton.
Thank you.
And now some coffee. Just wash it down with coffee. You look a little dehydrated.
You're a very good assistant. / maternal figure. I am going to need you to push that meeting back. Thank you.
Okay. I'll do it right now. Scene. Woo! It's classy the way you make that blackout. That is cool beans.
Finger over the pinhole camera. I don't know if everybody's doing that on improv yet. Just a little pro tip: you can do a blackout by doing this.
So cool. Can I try that for a second? Yeah, it's so exciting. Here it comes and blackout. Did that work?
Pretty much, yeah. It was. I guess I don't know if you actually touched it because it was more of a red out than a blackout.
Oh, okay. Well, I was, gingerly about it, so there's a little pun in there. Gingerly.
Red. I see. So we'll come to improv for the improv, but stay for the puns.
For the puns.
There's improv.com, e-improv.com. If you're not watching this on improv.com, because you might be watching this on the YouTube page later, I guess. But you can watch improv all the time on improv, either a live show or an archived show that won't be up for very long at all. Should we plug our show?
I've got to just say, we have a weekly show at the Triple Crown in New York City, 9:30 every Sunday night. And then as well, we have a monthly show, probably usually the third or fourth Saturday of the month, also at 9:30 at the Triple Crown. And also, if you're in the New York area and you would like to book Sheep Meadow in your show, let us know. And if you have a team that wants to play in our show, let us know. And when I say us, I guess I'm kind of the booker, so let me know.
Yeah, let her know. Sure. And I guess we're out of time now, but thank you so much for anybody watching, and thank you, Mimi.
Thank you, Morgan.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.